Coming up on Hoosier Sports Night, women's basketball took on Caitlin Clark and the Hawkeyes in front of a sold-out whiteout crowd at the Hall. We've got all the details from the electric game.
And women's swim and dive went to the Big Ten Championship over the weekend, and the winner was decided by just half a point. We'll show you who it was and how it happened. This is Hoosier Sports Night.
Hello and welcome back to Hoosier Sports Night. I'm Gwen Parks.
And I'm Ben Polonsky.
Ben, men's basketball last night, an alarm went off. Were you there?
No, unfortunately I did not go, but I did hear the fire alarm went off.
I hope that nothing was on fire, but there was something on fire, though. Caitlin Clark and Mackenzie Holmes, the showdown. Number 14 Indiana upset the number 4 Iowa Hawkeyes in a sold-out Assembly Hall last Thursday. Our Joe Brennan has more on the Hoosiers' must-win. Indiana went on to defeat Northwestern 84-64 on the road and will come back to Bloomington for their final regular season matchup against the Maryland Terrapins at 3 p.m. on Sunday.
A sold-out show. That's what you get when you mix Hoosier faithful with a Caitlin Clark effect. The 14th-ranked Hoosiers welcomed the number 4 Iowa Hawkeyes to Assembly Hall for a Big Ten showdown in front of 17,000 fans, and it didn't disappoint.
The adrenaline you just get from the noise and the fans in Assembly Hall, I can't really explain the feeling. It's really incredible.
Both teams came out of the gates red hot, trading blows. It wasn't until late in the second quarter when the Indiana defensive intensity picked up and they began to pull away.
Really got after it defensively. I think we made everything very difficult for Caitlin Clark tonight, and that's hard to do.
And once Indiana found another gear in the second, there was no slowing down. Holmes and Scalia combined for a total of 49 points as the 1-2 punch couldn't be stopped.
We did not have an answer for Scalia. I mean, she really did a great job running off screens, getting her feet set. She set her screens up really well. And then when we closed out hard, she beat us off the bounce. I mean, she really played well.
And while Indiana's offense was rolling, Clark struggled to find the bottom of the net in the second half. Clark tallied 24 total points on the night with just 4 in the second half. Indiana held the women's all-time leading scorer to just 8 for 26 shooting from the field and 3 of 16 beyond the arc. Indiana takes home an 86-69 victory, their biggest resume boost of the year, and a win that without a doubt will throw them back into the mix to host a regional for the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament. Indiana will be back on the road this Tuesday as they face off against the Northwestern Wildcats. For IUSTV Sports, I'm Joe Brennan.
Indiana University women's swimming and dive team competed in the Big Ten Championship in West Lafayette this weekend. Their biggest competition was Ohio State, who has won the Big Ten 4 straight seasons. But this time, the Hoosiers were able to come on top, winning the championship for their first time since 2019. The margin of victory was slim, just half a point. The championship came down to the last event, the 400 free relay, with IU placing in second ahead of Ohio State's third place, giving IU the victory. The women's team looks to close out their successful season at the NCAA Championships beginning March 20th in Atlanta.
The Indiana men's basketball team found a win over Wisconsin last night, 74-70, after a chaotic Tuesday night. Coming off a 4-game losing streak, it was all Khalil Ware. He stepped up big time for the Hoosiers, dropping 27 points, 11 boards, and 5 blocks. Despite the fire alarm going off and giving up a 15-point lead, Indiana kept their composure for the entire 40 minutes. Trey Galloway led the Hoosiers with 12 assists and was key in making sure the Hoosiers sealed the deal and finally get over, as Mike Woodson said, the hump.
It's not like I haven't seen that, out of our team. We just haven't done it consistently. And tonight was Indiana basketball at its best, I think.
This win means a lot. It's not even just about me. The whole team has just been, as y'all seen, on a little downhill. But I feel like tonight we finally got over that hump that everybody has been talking about. So.
The Hoosiers will look to keep some of this momentum going as they head to College Park on Sunday for their second-to-last away game of the season against the Maryland Terrapins.
Indiana softball traveled to Tucson, Arizona this past weekend for the Hillenbrand Invite. The Hoosiers started off their trip in a shutout style, walking off Central Michigan 8-0 in 5 innings. Sophomore Sophie Kleiman pitched the complete game and earned her first career no-hitter. Indiana had 2 headline matchups against number 22 ranked Arizona, the Hoosiers dropped the first one 6-3, while the second one was more of a marathon than a softball game. 14 innings, several lead changes, and over 400 pitches thrown to a heartbreaker for the Hoosiers as they lost 10-9 to the Wildcats. Team 51 bounced back with wins over Drake and Coach Shonda Stanton's previous team, Marshall, to finish 3-2 on the weekend and 11-4 overall. The softball team will return home this weekend for the Hoosier Classic.
The wrestling team closed out their season this past Friday at Wilkinson Hall. Taking on the Chattanooga Mocs on senior night, the Hoosiers would dominate the meet, winning with a commanding 33-11 victory. Key victories would come in the form of tech falls from senior Graham Rooks and redshirt sophomore Roman Rosowski, along with pinfalls from freshmen Blaine Frazier and Gabe Sollers. 157-pounder Braden Lee would close out his final match at Wilkinson Hall with a dominating 19-5 major decision over his opponent. With the season winding down, the Hoosiers finished the season 7-5 with a dominating 6-1 record at home as they gear up for the Big Ten and NCAA tournaments.
Coming up after the break, we crown our Hoosier Highlight Athlete of the Week.
And baseball looked to continue their momentum after winning their weekend series at Baylor. This is Hoosier Sports Night.
Hoosier News Source, Wednesdays on IUSTV.
Welcome back to Hoosier Sports Night.
Now joining us in the studio for this week's Hoosier Highlight is our very own Hayley Adams. Hayley?
Thanks, guys. This week's Hoosier Highlight Athlete of the Week is sophomore pitcher Sophie Kleiman. Against Central Michigan this past weekend, Kleiman pitched a no-hitter, effectively shutting down Central Michigan's offense during the game. This no-hitter is the first of her career, helping the Hoosiers win the game 8-0. She also reached a high of 5 innings pitched against Central Michigan. Kleiman and the rest of her team will play against Bowling Green at Andy Moore Field Friday, March 1st. That's all for Hoosier Highlight Athlete of the Week. I'm Hayley Adams. Back to you guys at the desk.
The number 20 ranked Indiana baseball team was back at home on Tuesday for a series showdown against Purdue Fort Wayne. Our Sam Brunsman has more.
For a third straight season, Purdue Fort Wayne gets a win over a Big Ten opponent. This year, coming against the Indiana Hoosiers. Indiana came into this game on fire, winning 6 straight, looking to build on that momentum. The Hoosiers held a previous record of 9-0 all-time against Purdue Fort Wayne, but tonight, the 1-6 Mastodons had Indiana's number. The difference in this game was Indiana's inability to hit the fastball. While on the flip side, the Mastodons were on fire on offense, hitting 5 home runs, including 1 in the top of the 9th to put them up 3.
The difference in the game was we got in between on fastball timing, and they didn't. And so every time we tried to sneak a fastball in, they hammered it, they were ready to go, and we got in between fastball timing pretty early on. And kudos to them for doing a lot of mixing and getting guys in between. And so you always try to, as a coach, you try to get guys to be ready when you don't have to lose to learn hard lessons. But today we did, and they were on fastball timing, and they never came off of it.
The matchups don't get any easier for the 20th ranked Hoosiers as they take on number 16 Alabama, Dallas Baptist, and Arizona in Frisco, Texas this weekend. For IUSTV Sports, I'm Sam Brunsman.
The Hoosiers will look to bounce back this weekend as they return to Texas to take on 3 top-ranked opponents at the Frisco Classic. The Indiana women's water polo team headed to West for the Kaluas invite this past weekend. Number 13 ranked IU held the lead all the way until the 4th quarter against number 5 ranked USC. Back-to-back power plays allowed for the Trojans to pull ahead of the Hoosiers, winning 12-10. The following day, IU had another close loss against UC Santa Barbara with a score of 10-7. The Hoosiers turned things around in the second half of the tournament, ending with 2 wins against Cal State Fullerton and on Sunday against Sonoma-Pitzer. The Hoosiers will be back at home at 11 this Saturday against UCLA.
The Indiana women's tennis team played a close one this past Sunday against Cornell. Our Hayley Adams has the story.
IU women's tennis has another win in the books this weekend as they face off against Ivy League Cornell. Let's take a look.
The Hoosiers came to play this weekend. The match against Cornell proved to be very eventful. While Cornell held the lead at the beginning of the match, the Hoosiers quickly caught up and the match was soon tied. The match was left to freshman Magdalena Schwerzinska to determine the winner, and after being down, she returned in the 3rd set to win. This is what she had to say.
Oh my God, the feeling is crazy. I still cannot believe that I managed to win. My opponent was so tough, everything was so close. I was down 1-5 in the third set, and I still cannot believe that I won that.
Freshman player Elizabeth Dunek's singles win was the one to tie down the match. Then freshman Li Shilin soon gave them the lead. But as court 1 lost, it was tied again. As a team, the Hoosiers fought for this win. This is what Coach Ramiro had to say.
You know, it was such a great team effort all the way from the very beginning to the very end. You know, we fought in the doubles and we had some opportunities, but to be able to win this match after losing the doubles point, it was huge.
As the IU match closed, this is where it started, and this is where it ended. This is where IU women's tennis got another win for their books. They are having a streak against Cornell, 5-0 in recent years, and they're going up against Iowa next weekend as they begin their Big Ten championships. I'm Hayley Adams for IUSTV Sports. Back to you guys at the desk.
The Hoosiers traveled down south to take on the Louisville Cardinals and the Southern Indiana Screaming Eagles in a fierce doubleheader this past weekend. IU managed to grab the double points early, but that didn't quite translate into a win. They ended up falling to Louisville 6-1. On Saturday night, it was a different story against Southern Indiana. Right from the opening serve, the Hoosiers brought their A game, shutting down the Screaming Eagles 4-0. After a 2-week break from gameplay, the Hoosiers will return to the court, the IU Tennis Center, to take on Illinois State on Friday, March 8th.
Earlier this week, the women's golf team took flight down to Houston, Texas, and participated in the Chevron Collegiate Tournament, a 2-day event with 54 holes. Maddie May finished tied in 34th place, finishing 2 under par for the tournament and her first ever collegiate tournament under par. Caroline Smith and Tamika Berdova both finished just 3 over par in their 2 days and tied in 48th. Chloe Johnson finished the week in 59th at 5 over par, and Nicole Kolbas finished in 83rd at 13 over. The girls finished the tournament in 15th place with a team total score of 869 strokes.
Now joining us for this week's Candy Stripe Calendar Report is Will Hayden. Will, what you got for us?
Thanks, Gwen. We have an exciting weekend coming up for Hoosier Athletics, so let's get right into it. On Friday, the softball team hosts Bowling Green for the start of the Hoosier Classic, taking place right here in Bloomington. The Hoosiers will play 4 games over the weekend. Baseball also kicks off a big weekend in Texas as they take on the number 16 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide in the Frisco Classic. They'll also take on number 25 Dallas Baptist in Arizona. Saturday marks the conclusion of the Big Ten Men's Swim and Dive Championship, in which the number 5 ranked Hoosiers look to capture their 3rd straight title. To wrap up the weekend's packed schedule, both men's and women's basketball will face the Maryland Terrapins. You can catch the women's game at Assembly Hall, and the men's game at College Park tips off at 2. That's all for the weekend's Candy Stripe Calendar. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Will, and that's our show for the week. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at IUSTV Sports to keep up with all the latest in IU athletics. For our production crew behind us, I'm Ben Polonsky.
And I'm Gwen Parks. We'll see you next week.